Hi. Yeah, this is the Weird Christian, and today I'm going to talk about C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity, which apparently is a best-selling book about Christianity. I really find that interesting. I never actually read Mere Christianity before, but then I decided to read it, and I was talking to about it with a friend, and we found it very interesting. In Mere Christianity, though he's supposed to be trying to attempt to talk about the fundamentals of Christianity in the book, in my reading of it, I never heard him talk about the cross, Christ on the cross, what that means, or what it means to be resurrected to us Christians, or, maybe even the experience that Peter had in his relationship of knowing Christ, which I think is quite fundamental. Peter had quite a fundamental relationship with Jesus to become the leader of the church and to start his mission. He, even after the resurrection, because of his feelings of not capable of actually dealing with the whole issue and not feeling that he was the right stuff, him and some other disciples went fishing because they were not going to go and become missionaries or anything like that. They were going to go back to their old life because they thought that they failed Christ and they couldn't actually be any use to him in that regard. It was just beyond their abilities of who they were and where they were going. So they had to come to a place where they realized that Christ forgave them. And that's what happened on the beach when Peter was asked by Christ, "Do you love me?" And Peter was realizing that he had to say, "Yes, I love you. But do you love me, Christ?" Basically. Because do you forgive me? And Christ was saying, "Yes, and I give you tasks to do, and I'm going to be with you. Just follow me. Feed my sheep. Protect my sheep. Um, you know, teach my sheep," basically. And then he followed him. And so Peter had that experience of knowing Christ's forgiveness, of knowing how much he loved Christ, even though he could not do what Christ did. But you won't find that experience in Mere Christianity. And in fact, there's a severe lack of that. And in different parts, where C.S. Lewis talks about loving God, he has a disconnect. He has never had that experience to love God. So I can't love God, he basically says. I can't force myself. Like, if you go to that conversion experience, how can you not love God? How can it not bring out those feelings of love? So I find that disconcerting. But right now, I'm just going to be talking about forgiveness in here in this book. I'll just go here for. Okay, maybe I'll just read at the bottom here. Maybe it's the next one. Oh, there it is. Forgiveness. On this PDF that I'm using, it is, which I'm using from google.com docs anyway, which is nice. Thank you, Google. It says it's on page 115. So I'll go to 115 and we can look at that. Okay. So let's see if it starts here. This is 96. Not page 115. Okay, this is weird. Okay. It says 116 now. Oh, this is interesting. Sexual immorality. Okay, I'm going to just look here what's going on. Just using that little thing at the bottom where it says what page you can go on. Doesn't seem to be working exactly. I thought maybe it would just jump into 115, but it's not. And so we'll just continue down here. Yeah. So let's maybe I'll try something a little different since it's not doing that. 40. Let's try that. See what happens. The great sin. Okay. That's the pride sin. Where is that? Okay. Oh, it's just a bit before. Okay, so we're just a little bit before, so that's okay. So we just went past it. Here it is, forgiveness. Okay, we'll just start at the beginning of the forgiveness chapter. But in this forgiveness chapter, basically, he just meanders about how we should forgive. And he's just equating forgiveness as any other kind of law of God. So it is more of a commandment than an ability to give. Like it's like forgive, better forgive kind of thing, rather than just something that you should do because of your relationship that you have. It's just the way you are, who you do. It's kind of like a forced thing. And he's saying, well, how can you forgive people that are, like the Gestapo, if you're a Jew, and so forth. So he meanders about how do you forgive people that you don't like, and everything they hear. But in all this, he doesn't really talk about how God forgives him. So loving my enemies does not apparently mean thinking them nice either. So he's just meandering about how do you forgive people and what does it mean and so forth. But in none of this chapter does he talk about how God forgives him. Now, I'm not saying that we all know how that happens. In fact, there's some interesting concepts about how people think that Christ forgives people and, how it's done. But Lewis doesn't even present any idea. He just doesn't even address how God forgives. That's not an issue in his mind to even try to know how God forgives. It's just the commandment is to forgive, so he's supposed to forgive. And here he meanders about how it's done, which I find quite disconcerting, because how can you learn to forgive others if you don't know how God forgives you? He equates forgiveness as just another command, like thou shalt not murder or thou shalt not steal. He doesn't understand that it's and you shouldn't do those things, but he doesn't understand how God forgives him so that he can forgive others. He doesn't even address that, which is, and this is supposed to be talking about the coreness of Christianity, and he doesn't even mention, here he mentions Christ, but he just says, did Christ lead, did he lead an army, basically? And here he meant a centurion, and but where's the cross? Where's anything about the cross? It's not there. See, then he says, perhaps it's easier if we remember that is how he loves us. Okay, so let's see how he loves. I admit that this means loving people who have nothing lovable about them, but then has oneself anything lovable about it? you love it simply because it is yourself. Okay, so he's talking about self-love, apparently. God intends us to love all selves in the same way, for the same reason, which is, he hasn't mentioned how or why, but he has given us the sum ready worked out in our own case to show us how it works, okay? When we then go on and apply the rule to all others, to all the other selves, perhaps it makes it easier if we remember that that is how he loves us. Not for any nice, attractive qualities we think we have, but just because we are things called selves. For really, there's nothing else in us to love, creatures like us who actually find hatred such a pleasure. So he just says that we love selves. And God loves us, so we should love others. But, how does he forgive? And what is this love? Is it an enabling love or, a lust? It's his whole understanding of this seems to be in limbo, and he just meanders, not really rooting in how God loves. And he just sees as a bunch of rules. And we're supposed to follow rules, and we follow rules. We work as the human machine. It's so mechanical, and it's not about relationships. But I challenge you, anyone who reads Mere Christianity, to find out where he talks about the Christ, the forgiveness at the cross, how any kind of thing about how it's done, whether he even addresses it, and anything about the resurrection in Mere Christianity. And according to Paul, these are core beliefs of Christianity, and he doesn't even address it. So this is, to me, is a sad state to say that people are Christians when they kind of ignore the core and talk about all sorts of other stuff and present all sorts of other ideas and then say that this is the core of Christianity, is what Mere Christianity about. This is the core of Christianity. So try to do a reread of Mere Christianity and see if it talks about Christ on the cross and forgiveness, and see if it finds anything about the resurrection and what does that mean, and to human, and the rebirth by the Spirit. See if you can find that in anything in Mere Christianity. I challenge anybody. To me, those are quite core beliefs, and I just can't believe that nobody, they're all oogling about how wonderful it is, and yet it does not talk about the core of Christianity. So may God bless you, keep you, take a read, look for it in Mere Christianity. Look for the core of Christianity in Mere Christianity. It's got some interesting ideas. I wouldn't call them Christian ideas, but it's got some interesting ones, and I've seen them before, and some people think that's Christianity, what he presents. But apparently, some people think that. A lot of people think that. But I would not think that it's really Christianity, because he's missing the cores. So God bless, and may God give you peace.